Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man Bryce Ward. Bryce, what is up? What's going on?
Not much. Just enjoying this little bit of cool weather that we don't usually get here in Central Florida. Yeah, everything's good. The family's good. Work's busy, so no complaints really.
Central Florida, where we're close to the Orlando Magic, but all I see every day are Miami Heat license plates on the road. It's great.
It's funny how you pay attention to what you have because I don't really see too many, but I get it.
I see them. I don't see any Magic. I don't see any Magic license plates. I see Miami Heat license plates all around here.
I saw a Magic tag yesterday.
Did you? That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. Really?
Yeah, there's still a lot of people holding on to their LeBron James jerseys when the Miami Heat had them, so I get it. There's a lot of bandwagon fans. I get it.
Was it like one of the older 1996 tags or 1995 tags when they made their magical final run?
Something like that. People are nostalgic from the 90s. You know how it goes.
A bit. Mm-hmm. So we got some shit to get into. In my drunken haze yesterday, I was asleep, and then I woke up. They always happen when I'm asleep, right? So I woke up, and I see New York Knicks fans are like losing their minds. I'm like, what's going on? I got a picture. I looked at my phone. I got a picture from Nick. Nick has a little girl, so congratulations to Nick. But then Nick also put, this is a good thing with the baby picture, but the bad thing is the Knicks trade. And I didn't catch it at first. And I looked again. And I was like, is this trade real? So I jumped on ESPN and saw it was real. The Knicks, New York, we love you and fuck you. The Knicks have had a pretty decent season so far. Mm-hmm. Do you think they should have pulled the trigger on this OG trade? Losing RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly has been playing great off the bench lately. But do you think the Knicks should have shaken it up a little bit right now? Should they have waited a little longer for this?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I know they added Brunson came in last year, right? That was his first year. They've kind of been flirting with, being good again. They've been making the playoffs. They even had that one year where it seemed like they had their little bit of a Cinderella run, but that was a few seasons ago now. So I think they're in that kind of same boat. Of course, they're having a better season than Toronto. They're having a better season than Chicago, Indiana. They're having a good season, of course, but I don't think that they feel like they're going to make any real playoff noise. And so I think they're just trying to do something. I mean, they could just sit around and do nothing and have the same type of season and still get bounced in the first round. So maybe second. But I just don't think they feel like they have what it takes, and they're just kind of sitting in the same spot, if you ask me. Like, as a non-fan, just look outside looking in. They're having a better season than those other teams, but how far can that take them? I don't think that far. I'm not saying this move changes anything, but I think New York is in the mindset of where they have to try to start doing something. And to be honest, I don't really know too much. I mean, I know this isn't like a star trade or anything, but it's like I don't watch Toronto enough to really know if this is going to make New York that much better. And like you said, Quickly's been playing pretty decent for them off the bench. I don't know. I just I don't know if this is enough to really move the needle at all. It's like more or less, and it doesn't seem like the fans are happy about it. So I don't really know why they went with this specific trade. The only thing that's exciting to me is usually when one trade goes through. I mean, when's the deadline? Is it February?
February, yeah, the week after.
That's usually when most of this stuff goes down. I'm just surprised that a trade happens so early, kind of.
Well, yeah. So the writing on the wall on Toronto, and Toronto is absolutely trash, and they should be contracted. I'm absolutely nothing against my people in Canada. But fuck Toronto, okay. They're gonna trade Siakam as well, so that trade could happen closer to the trade deadline because they're pretty much detonating that thing. I believe they've been trash for years anyway. But
They're just moving on with Barnes, I guess.
I'm not a fan.
I know.
But I mean, he has a good smile, but that's about it.
All right, Hennigan.
So they're. Oh no, that's not a Hennigan joke. No. Oh no, we're getting to that later. But Toronto's pretty much going to detonate that thing. So I mean, as far as the Knicks, I mean, it's kind of a flat trade. They're not. I don't think they're going to go any higher. They're going to go any lower. It's just a level trade. I am surprised that these two teams actually finished the trade, considering that they're suing each other. So that was that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But so I'm surprised by that. But I'm kind of meh on this trade. It is what it is. I like RJ Barrett. He's from Toronto, so it's a homecoming for him. Hopefully, it's not too much pressure on him. So we'll see. But this trade, I give it like a C-. I'm not too big on this trade at all.
Are you surprised that trade even happened though this early?
I am. Yeah. Moving right along, we did have the return of Ja Morant. First game back, hit the game winner. Took a few shots at the media, no pun intended. And then the Grizzlies went on a small winning streak of 4 games before dropping the last 2. So right now, the Grizzlies are only 5 games out of the play-in. It's hard to believe that, but they're 5 games out of the play-in. Do you think, and this is a shout out to Pat, do you think that the Grizzlies can creep their way up the standings and potentially still be a playoff team with Ja Morant returning?
Yes. With what we've seen since he came back, I fully believe it. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying I think they're very capable of doing that. Yes.
So you're on the Ja Morant bandwagon.
Hey, agree or disagree with what he's done? His play on the court is pretty undeniable.
He's playing with a chip on his shoulder right now.
The team was banged up, but I think they're getting back healthy. I think they're about to get Marcus Smart back as well. So pretty soon they'll be at a full roster, and I think they can sneak into the play-in.
Yeah, they're 5 games out right now.
There's plenty of time for that.
I think Golden State may have something to say about that, even though they're dead in the water. But I think Golden State will still be in the play-in because Golden State, as of right now, is 1 game out, so they would have to leapfrog over Golden State. Okay.
What would have to happen for Golden State to blow it up? Another season of this? Another falling out? What would it take?
There would be changes next season. No matter what happens this season, there will be changes next season. They've lost a step. They're demoralized. Steve Kerr said they're missing an edge. He said that recently. He didn't call them soft, but he just said they're missing grit. That's what he said. His quote was lack of grit, which is low key calling them soft. And I told you this on the phone the other day, but I'll say it for the people here. When you get older, Charles Barkley said this, you're no longer a great player, but on some nights you can still be great. But you don't know when those nights are coming. It just happens, right? It's hard to summon up nights when you get older. And that's what they're dealing with right now. And I'm specifically speaking of Clay and Steph. Because their contributions haven't been as impactful to the team as they once were years ago. And we kind of saw that with LeBron a little bit, where LeBron was putting up monster stats, but the Lakers were still trash. So, Pat gonna kill me for this, but gonna kill me for it.
They were still trash, is what he said right there.
I'm gonna get a text at some point today, but no. So they I don't think they're gonna shake it up at the trade deadline. But if they did, Clay would be the one that would be on the move because he's the next contract due and he has voiced his displeasure with the fact that he hasn't got an extension yet. So, so I think that's kind of hovering over the
Right.
team, and it's a similar situation to D Wade's last contract, well, his second to last contract in Miami, where he was like, "Pay me. I've sacrificed all these years. Pay me." And the Heat were like, "Well, you're on the downslide of your career, so we're not going to give you that contract Kobe got, which was like his last extension was like 3 years for $60 million, which was huge back then." Like the Heat were like, "No, we're not doing that." And then D Wade went to Chicago, but we saw how that ended. So I think Clay is looking for a big payday. Golden State's like, nah. They dropped another game last night to Dallas. We can't take them serious anymore. We just can't. They're not contenders anymore. So with that said, I still think they're a playing team. Could Memphis leapfrog over them? Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. In a random news note, a player that we both liked, Goran Dragic has said that after this season, he's going to retire. And he's going to play his final season in his native Slovenia. Quick thoughts on Goran?
Oh, I mean, I used to get him on fantasy all the time. That was when I first started really paying attention to. He was in Phoenix? Yeah, Phoenix. He's just always been solid, always been extremely professional. It seems like a lot of these foreign players, they almost have the same, like, not identity, but general tone with being in the league. Like, you never really see anything too crazy, I would say, from like this newer generation of foreign players. Like, I really haven't, like, Jokic. You could say maybe Luka is like the most outgoing, it feels like, but everybody else seems pretty like kind of quiet, professional, and just plays a solid, reliable style of basketball. Dragic's been around the league for a long time, and he was great for a very long time. A bit of a journeyman, I guess you could call him. He was on a lot of different teams. Yeah, nothing bad to say about Dragic. I've always been a fan of his game, and was it 15 seasons he played? Something like that?
15 seasons with 7 teams, but he did spend his longest stretch in Miami.
Yeah, kudos to him, and respect for going home and finishing his final season at home. I think that's cool. But no, nothing but good things to say about Dragic. I'm glad I got to see him play as much as we did, and yeah, I was always a big fan of having him on fantasy. Super reliable, get you some, no downside really. And I'm sure that's what everybody felt like playing with him. Just reliable, good guy. I love Dragic.
This is what I'll say. He's not going to play in Slovenia until August. Okay. Now, I will say this. He has been traveling with the Heat and mentoring our rookie. I always thought that if we got Damian Lillard, we had to move on from Kyle Lowry. We would have brought Dragic back in as our backup point guard. I still think there's a place for him for like the second half of the season should he decide to come back to Miami. Last season, little known fact, Dragic was coming off the bench in Milwaukee. So when we were playing Milwaukee in the playoffs, he didn't get a lot of playing time. But it kind of hurt me a little bit because, like, I love you so much, and I know how bad you want a ring, which is why you came to Milwaukee. And I hate to be the ones to put you out because I love him to death. And if he would have been healthy in the 2020 NBA Finals, because he got hurt right before the Finals, I believe we would have beat the Lakers that year. If he wouldn't have went down, because him and Bam went down, I do believe unequivocally we would have beat the Lakers that year. And he would have got his championship. So one of the best guys I've seen play for the Heat. My second favorite all-time point guard for the Heat. So yeah, he leapfrogged over Tim Hardaway. My championship point guard will always be Jason Williams. but Dragic is second. So kudos to him on his career. And
I thought for sure you were going to say Chalmers. I mean, he was there for a while. He was with the big teams you guys had there. I thought for sure it'd be Chalmers. Oh, MC.
All right. You finished now? Finished? Okay. Thank you. All right. We're not talking about the Big Three tournament where that piece of shit is at right now. We're talking about NBA level basketball. And Goran Dragic was one of the purest point guards that the NBA has had in recent years. Speaking of pure point guards and Rob Hennigan jokes, my boy, Tyrese Haliburton, had his second 2020 game. Right. We talked the other day about his first 2020 game. And then his second game, he had another one. I told you. Joel Embiid, as of right now, is my MVP because he is just playing at another level. But if he continues to miss his games, that would disqualify him from the MVP conversation. Do you think Tyrese Haliburton should get some MVP love this year?
Some love is different than winning it, of course, but some love, yeah. I think Indiana would have to play better for him to be in the real conversation. I know they're getting close, but they're not all the way there in terms of like top teams in the East. They're a budding young team. Now Haliburton's playing great. I believe he should get some look for MVP, but I mean, if Embiid's healthy and playing the games, it looks like it's going to be between him. I mean, I think most people are going to give it to him this year again, and not unwarranted. He's playing great. To be honest, it's just me. I feel like this is the first year I've looked at Luka more in terms of MVP. Because it seems like Dallas has figured some things out and they're playing better this year than I'm taking Dallas more seriously this year. And Luka, if anything, has been playing, it seems like, almost better. So I've been paying close attention to Luka. It's hard not to, really, but I'm not going to argue with the Embiid pick because he's been playing amazing when he's been on the court. He's only started missing a few games recently, so as long as he doesn't miss too long, he should be fine. But no, I mean, Tyrese is great. Indiana's offense is, I mean, they've had, I think on paper, the numbers show they have the best offense of all time in the NBA. And the way Tyrese is moving the ball and getting his guys set up, I mean, he's a representation of that offense. Plus, he can score. It's impressive what he's doing in Indiana. If they could play some defense, they'd be better off. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Tyrese being an MVP candidate. He's definitely in those talks. I just don't think Indiana as a team is good enough to get him there. But maybe in a few seasons, realistically, yeah, he'll be in those talks. But it'd be hard for me to pick him even over Luka right now.
Luka's only playing good right now. Sorry, I have to play devil's advocate. He's only playing good right now because Kyrie's been out the last 11 games, right? So
Luka's going to play good even with Kyrie on the court. Let's be honest.
No. But he's playing better right now because he doesn't have to share the ball because we both know Luka doesn't pass the ball. I mean, he gets his assists. It's weird. It's like the Russell Westbrook conversation from years ago. But he is extremely ball dominant, right? I think Dallas has to make a decision on Kyrie. So definitely look out for his name around the trade deadline as well. Because Luka is what Luka is. Luka is not going to change. And to maximize Luka, as we're seeing right now, Kyrie doesn't need to be there. And this is no shot at Kyrie, but them two just don't. It's like oil and water. This doesn't work. You cannot have two ball dominant guards and one's not willing to sacrifice. You can't have that. So,
I mean, we know the lack of wins or the wanting to get into the playoffs kind of pushed Dallas's hand last year, forced Dallas's hand. Now that they're playing just as good, if not better, and still no Kyrie on the court, who do you think realistically would take Kyrie?
I'm looking right now. Hold on.
Oh, and also back to your original question, do you realistically think like that? I mean, besides just getting a few looks, do you think Haliburton gets any real MVP love this year?
He's my second MVP. If I had to vote right now, he would be my second pick. Jokic is what Jokic is. We know what Jokic is. We're used to that now. He's my second pick right now for MVP. Like I said, if Embiid doesn't reach the game threshold, I have no problem giving Tyrese Haliburton the MVP. Cleveland.
Dude, I was gonna make a joke because they have the pieces to trade, right? But there's no way Cleveland does that. There's no way Cleveland does that.
Kyrie Irving back to Cleveland. Hey, we saw LeBron James go back. Kyrie Irving back to
That's different. I don't think Cleveland wants to go down that road again.
Kyrie Irving back to Cleveland. Just want to see that. Want to see. Just saying, because we I'm hearing rumblings about Cleveland. Of course, Toronto just started theirs, and there's a couple of others out there I'm hearing rumblings about. Cleveland. Shocking, right?
It's not gonna be. It'd be funny if it was Cleveland, but there's just no way I think it's Cleveland.
I've been saying for weeks that I need to give the Minnesota Timberwolves some love on this podcast. So I'm going to give the Minnesota Timberwolves some love. I saw a little bit of the game last night where they beat the Lakers. Again, Pat's going to kill me.
Close game.
Yeah, it was a close game. It was a close game. Cat and Gobert figured it out. They're playing well together. Anthony Edwards is absolutely phenomenal, and they actually have a solid bench of no names. Yeah, man, they're legit, man.
they're legit enough to still be number one regular season, which is impressive, right? They're still number one in the West, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing we know. Playoff experience is another thing.
Right.
With what you've seen, let's just say they keep this trajectory for the end of the season. Let's just say somehow they stay number one, right? How far can you see a team like that going in the playoff? Like, you can be great in the regular season. We've seen it from Phoenix. We've seen it from a lot of teams that then just fizzle in the playoffs when they're met with the right team, right? So what do you think their playoff trajectory looks like?
I'm going to get to your answer, but I have to take like a long way to your answer. Minnesota is number one in the West. Oklahoma City is number two in the West. Both of those teams will probably be knocked out in the second round, only by virtue of lack of playoff intensity. Now, Minnesota has a little bit. They have more than OKC has. So they have a little bit. But I do believe, just by looking at the standings, let's just say the stars align. Minnesota would probably play, and you're going to laugh at this, either New Orleans, Phoenix, or the Lakers in the first round. I think they can get through that, believe it or not. But then in the second round, now you're looking at either Denver or the Clippers, if the playoffs was to start today. Okay? As far as Oklahoma,
because I think the Lakers or Clippers could both possibly take out one of those younger teams.
Right. As
Phoenix, I could see Phoenix maybe, but I don't know if I see the Lakers losing to them.
Nah, Phoenix is that other team. I just remembered they're that other team. We're gonna get into that in a minute. This thing isn't scripted, folks. We just go with it. Oklahoma would kind of see Sacramento or Dallas in the second round. So I think it's good that both those teams are number one. It's fantastic, especially for the league. But this season, they don't make the league. Next season they may, but this season they don't make the league. And going to Phoenix really quick. There's some big rumblings in Phoenix that Kevin Durant's not happy. Now I know Bradley Beal's been in and out, but mostly out. Devin Booker is what Devin Booker is. He's just Kevin Durant light at this point. Do you think Phoenix would move Kevin Durant if he was to ask out?
I mean, maybe. I mean, these situations, we see the wide array of like way these things could go, from a James Harden to how he's done it, to Kevin Durant, to Kyrie Irving, to LeBron James, Anthony Davis. What's another? Kawhi. It's hard to say that I couldn't see Kevin Durant with his history asking out. And lots of times these teams seem to accommodate. I mean, lots of times they do. Most of the time, I'd say. To be honest, I don't know what Kevin Durant wants, though. I don't know what he's looking for, what situation he'd like. So I have no idea. I haven't really seen or heard anything about it myself, so I mean, it would be a little bit of a surprise to me. But with his history, it's not surprising. I just would like to know what I want to know what he wants. I want to know where he wants to go specifically, then, because nothing seems to be working up to this point. Phoenix is a bit of a mess too if that happens. I feel like, because they keep going from, now they're going like it would be season to season, where there's no continuity. They're just trading big piece for whatever other big piece, and then the next season it's more of the same. No real threat at a deep playoff hunt. I mean, I know that's what the goal is, but if everyone's not on the same page and one of your big three is always hurt, it's just tough. It's like Phoenix is just, it seems like wherever Kevin Durant goes besides Golden State, it's like, I'm not saying Kevin Durant is the issue, but it seems like there's all these other issues around the team that really keeps them from contending.
This is what I'll say about Kevin Durant. But first, he did talk about him and Booker having a heated discussion. Right now, the Phoenix Suns are 16 and 15. They won 2 straight games, so they've been playing 500 basketball for most of the year. It is hard to put, which Kevin Durant knows this from that clusterfuck in Brooklyn. It's hard to just put 3 great players together and say go out and win a championship. It's hard. There's other things that has to happen. Frank Vogel, great guy, not a great coach at all. The bubble ring doesn't count for him. It's not a great coach. I could go out there and coach LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and win a championship. Okay, let me just say that. I can do that. Frank Vogel's not a great coach. Phoenix doesn't have a great bench. They're not deep. Frank Vogel is a laid-back coach, so he doesn't demand the most out of his players. It's just like, you get what you asked for. You were in Brooklyn. They gave you the world. It was still a disaster. You come to Phoenix. They gave you the world. It was still a disaster. The only reason he was successful in Golden State was because they already had a culture and a structure there, and he just blended in. Like you said, he's the greatest role player of all time. I will go on record and say this, and people are going to be mad. Of course, I don't give a fuck. Kevin Durant has done nothing in this league to say that he's one of the all-time great players in the NBA. He blends in with a lot of players who can score and who can shoot. Yeah, you beat LeBron James, but you had Steph, you had Clay, and you had Draymond on your side. I could go out there and hit a couple of buckets and say I'm a champion too, with that team firing on all cylinders, right? You had Russell Westbrook when you went to the finals in 2013, and got absolutely blasted by the Miami Heat. Brooklyn was a disaster again. Phoenix is looking like the early signs of an impending disaster. So yeah, I would blame Kevin Durant. Absolutely. He's not a leader. He's never been a leader. And we shouldn't put him in that position of being that because he fails every time. And that's just the truth, folks. Just saying, yeah.
If he has title aspirations, he needs to be I think the Lakers.
No, he wouldn't play with LeBron. No, they're okay.
He wouldn't, but he needs to. He needs to.
They're cool. Don't get me wrong. There's no dislike there. They're cool. He wouldn't play with LeBron. You're gonna roll your eyes, but if he should have went to Miami. Phoenix was the first choice. Miami was second choice. He should have went to Miami only because you have a structure and you have a culture there similar to Golden State. Or San Antonio is trash, but they have structure there too. But he needs a team with structure, not a team that he can go to and they just bend over backwards for him. He doesn't need that because they coddle him. They don't challenge him, right?
The Knicks would have been a good fit.
The Knicks. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Thibodeau there.
I can see that.
He has a tight rein on those guys. They could use maybe someone like him. I'm just trying to think of where he lands, like, because it's KD. People are still gonna try to get him. There will be a market for Kevin Durant if he wants out.
Because he is a sniper, so I'll give him that. He's a sniper, but as far as a team leader, he's not that. And if I'm Devin Booker, we kind of know Devin Booker has a little bit of an edge. He does. For all his playoff failures, he does have a little bit of an edge. If I'm Devin Booker and Kevin Durant tries to check me and you just got there, nah, B. That ain't the conversation we having. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like Kevin Durant going to Golden State and trying to check Stephen Curry. Nah, B, we ain't having that conversation. So, as great of a player as he is, he needs structure. And we've seen now, even in OKC, he had a little structure there and they got to the finals. But it's just like we've seen in places where he doesn't have structure, he just blends in, man. Second round knockout. That's it. That's it. Yeah, he got an MVP. So what? He was in OKC. What has he done since that MVP? Outside of Golden State, what has he done since that MVP? Absolutely nothing. And if I'm Bradley Beal, I'm just like, man, what the fuck did I get myself into? What is this shit?
Bradley Beal doesn't know what to do with his career, though. He spent too long in Washington, and then he went to a team there. He's, like a weird part of a big three, and he can't stay healthy either. So
they're number 8 right now in the Western Conference, so they're in the play-in. But like New Orleans is ahead of them. We knew the Clippers were going to be okay. Dallas is ahead of Phoenix. On paper, Phoenix should be ahead of Dallas. On paper. So it's just like their last 10 games, they're 4-6. I can't take them serious, bro. I can't take them serious. We're going to end today on this note because I did watch the end of this game as well. Congratulations to the Detroit Pistons.
Finally
for breaking that winning streak. And ironically, they beat Toronto. See, I told you Toronto's so trash. Ironically, they beat Toronto. And dude, I was sitting there. I don't know the schedule, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, because the last 3 games, Detroit's actually been playing well and they've almost won those 3 games. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I don't know when Miami's coming, but I need them to get this win because I don't want that win to be against Miami, bro. But they got it, and congratulations on them. They have been playing hard the last few games. That's tough. That's tough, man. I don't even know if I'm a player how I could deal with that. That is tough. Let's see if this can springboard them to knocking on the door maybe of the play-in because they're like 11 games out right now.
No.
Hey, they're 11. Hey,
I'll give it to the Grizzlies. There's no way Detroit. No.
They are 11 games out of the play-in. It's still possible.
It's possible it ain't happening.
anything is possible. So, like for example, your Atlanta
Cade
Hawks,
Cunningham. Free Cade Cunningham, I was going to say.
your Atlanta Hawks have lost 4 straight. They're in the play. They're not in the play-in anymore. I'm talking. I'm going to name the teams that are ahead of Detroit. So check this out. Atlanta's lost 4 straight. Toronto's lost 2 straight. Charlotte has lost 10 straight. And then you have the Wizards and the Pistons who won 1 game each. It's possible. It is possible that one of these teams could catch fire and get into the play-in. I kid you not. Because look at the teams that are above them. You mean to tell me you can't catch Charlotte? Get the fuck out of here.
Detroit's not going to start winning games. They're going to maybe win a couple more. They're going to continue to be really bad. There's no way you can convince me that Detroit is better than Atlanta.
This is what I'll tell you. 1 through 15, Detroit has more talent than Atlanta. Book that.
You would have seen that shoot around I saw the other night, and it wouldn't have mattered because Trae Young can make more shots than the whole team combined.
That's fine. 1 through 15, the Detroit Pistons has more talent than Atlanta. And Toronto,
that's fine. They made NBA history with their losing streak. So you got to show it to me before I believe in anything.
Bro, I hate Toronto. So
Charlotte on paper.
Charlotte ought to be ashamed. Yeah, Charlotte ought to be ashamed of themselves. They ought to be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
Is LaMelo back?
No.
Okay.
But still, they shouldn't have lost 10 games in a row. That's ridiculous. And then, like I said, then you have Washington, who's grossly underperformed, and then Detroit. So, with that said, we're gonna
okay, real quick. It was funny since we talked about Washington for just a second. Kuzma, when he was on the Lakers, said he'd rather be on I'm gonna butcher it. Something like he'd rather be on a bad Lakers team and talked about than in Orlando not getting talked about. And now he's in Washington, and really, there's no reason to talk about Kyle Kuzma. So
he's having a good season.
He is putting up a lot of, as you say, empty stats that don't lead to any wins. Him and Jordan Poole are perfect for each other.
Jordan Poole is not having a good season, but Kyle Kuzma is having a good season. But like you said, they're on a trash team. Jordan Poole, man, just like, bro, come on, bro. I still got faith in you, bro. I'm not gonna give up on you just yet. Next season, though, if he doesn't turn around this year, I'm gonna be off the Poole bandwagon for next season. So that is it for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Drop comments below. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Pat, I know you're going to drop some comments about us in the Lakers. Everyone stay safe, and we are out.